welcome to
Wickety, welcome.
Jiu-Jitsu
No, my turn. Shippity shap. My turn. Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast episode. See, Kieren, this is why you do it. You've got two sound buttons and that's it.
That's it.
You got to add some more, bro.
Two more than you.
The people,
Mate, you had one job.
I'm like, no, come on, I want to touch it.
One job to introduce the podcast.
Look, I know it's episode 64, bro.
66. Wrong number.
I know my plus twos.
Yep. Welcome to the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast, episode number 66. Wrong button.
You
All right,
suck.
no more buttons.
You suck.
I apologize if this is the first time listening to this podcast. I apologize. Our intros are very poor, and it's become a running joke on YouTube talking about how shit our intros are. So, welcome to the podcast.
Bad.
The podcast itself is better than the intro. I'm Kieren Lefebvre. I'm a blue belt under the black belt. Adam Childs, who is this guy?
Hello.
Waving to the camera.
Waving to the camera. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like you've got to.
Hands off the table.
Oh, I know. We've got cameras on the table and I'm always so angry. They shake the cameras.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to. I feel like I'm having lunch at my grandma's house and she's like, elbows off the table.
That is good manners.
It's also, who cares?
In the Navy, if you sail, under sail, so not under power, around the capes.
I don't know what that means.
So like a sailing boat.
Oh, like as in not.
Yeah,
the
not
military,
under power. Like
just civilian.
Or it can be military, but as long as it's under sail, not under like machine power. Like, so you're on a sailboat, right?
Sorry, yeah.
So in the Navy, if you under sail around
under wind power,
sail around either of the capes, either north or south of Australia, then you can have one elbow on the table, depending on which cape. I can't remember which is left and right. And
what?
Exactly. And if you sail around both, you can have two elbows on the table during mess dinners. Otherwise, you're not allowed to have elbows on the table.
Wait, so that's like a right that you earn.
Exactly.
So I thought you meant like as you're sailing around the Cape,
No.
put your right elbow on the table.
No.
Yay!
After you've like completed that, it's like quest complete. You've unlocked right elbow, and then you can have one. And then if you've sailed around both, you can have two. Fun facts.
They're like, oh, boy, Jimmy lost his left arm in the Battle of the Bulge. He can't put his, poor guy.
Fuck me.
He earned the right to put his left elbow on the table. He ain't got one.
That's terrible. Anyway, today we are...
Stupid rule. I hate that rule.
Get your hands off the table. Today we're talking about the unspoken rules of jiu-jitsu. That's why you clicked on this episode. You want to know what you're not allowed to know. Or
you're allowed to know. It's just no one tells you.
Yeah.
And then you usually learn it by getting your face smashed into the wall.
So as something different for this podcast episode, because this is about the unspoken rules, we're just going to mime them.
Ready, Kieren? You go first.
That was great.
This is when you could have hit the Tweety Bird.
Yeah.
So don't do it now. It's too late.
No, I'm not going to.
The ship has sailed around the Cape. Damn it.
You saw that coming. Okay, so what?
Right, bad intro. We're 3.5 minutes in. Unspoken rules. There's a lot of stuff in jiu-jitsu that is, for lack of a better word, traditional rules. And every gym is going to be different. Some you could say are just blanket, regardless of what gym you go into, would be rule. Other gyms, they're going to be enforced or not enforced, right? So I'm going to go through some of the rules. I'm also going to address some of the rules. Kieren's looking at me because I'm touching them. I'm just caressing it, bro. Just let me.
Stop touching the table.
Well, my coffee's on the table.
Touch your coffee.
You're like, get your own table. Fuck off.
We need to set up a little side table just for you to bang. Anyway.
Next week, I'm sitting here in a recliner with a fridge on the side.
Fucking wish. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So there's some, unspoken rules, right? Some are very obvious. So if you're listening to this podcast, I would say you already train jiu-jitsu. So I'm not talking about rules like no shoes on the mat. Although that is a rule that you're not often told that rule. I mean, you are if you accidentally step on like day one, but they're not rules that people listening to this podcast need to hear. Like don't wear shoes on the mat because you already train.
When like parents of kids come onto the mats and like they got their shoes on you and you just cringe. Like whenever you see it, you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. But it does lead me to my first unspoken rule, which is it's just tied into the no shoes on the mat, which is you can't, like, do you know why there's no shoes on the mat?
Because you don't want dirt and shit all over the mat.
Exactly right. So some people, I don't know why, but they have this, they think, oh, it's no shoes on the mat because, I don't know, it'll damage the mats or something. Or maybe they do realize that it's because of dirt, but then they don't make the correlation that, bro, if you walk into the gym, like if you're out on the street barefoot and then you come into the gym and go onto the mats barefoot, like it's no different to wearing shoes.
That's grubby anyway. Like if you're doing that, that's pretty fucking grubby.
What, you mean being barefoot grubby?
Yeah, being barefoot, walking around the street, that's pretty fucking grubby.
No, yeah, but
in my opinion.
I would depend. I think that depends where you are.
I think you need to be at least wearing flip-flops, man.
Depends where you are, man. Like, let's say for like,
if you can't afford shoes, then that's like that's another
why
conversation.
Why can't you afford shoes? Because your gym fees are ridiculous. Paying a train here, motherfucker. Yeah. It depends, right? Like the reason I'm saying it depends is because if you're in a very, like if you're in a town, city that's right on the coast, like very beach orientated culture, like if you see people down at Bondi without shoes on, you go, that's grubby.
If they're walking around the street, yeah, it's a little bit grubby.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm my view's a bit twisted because like growing up in Byron Bay, it was weird if people wore shoes.
Nah, man, I think you should, like, you come off the sand, off the beach, you should put on your flip-flops, man.
I'll tell you how my view was so warped, like moving down here from Byron. So for people who don't know Sydney very well or Australia well, so Byron Bay is a coastal town in Australia, a beach town, quite well known for hippies and smoking weed and whatever. And Sydney, and in the particular part of Sydney we're in, it's a wealthier part of Sydney, right? And we have this place called Bondi Junction. There's a big, for American listeners, a mall, right?
It's right near Bondi Beach.
Right near Bondi Beach, one of the world's most famous beaches. Westfield is what this mall is called. When I first moved down to Sydney from Byron, I look back at this and I go, yeah, that would have been a bit out of place. I remember just like going into the Westfield and I would just be wearing like board shorts, like I came from the beach, board shorts, no shirt, no shoes, nothing. I'll just walk into the Westfield, like walk down to the bottle shop, grab a long neck, which are like the tall beers, and then just be drinking it out of a brown paper bag. Because that was like, at least when I grew up,
people would think that you're homeless,
they would,
or drugged out, or both.
100% in this area. But in Byron, you're like trendsetter. I like it.
That's normal.
Like, you fit in. But yeah, anyway, so whether you argue it's grubby or not, whether you argue that, in my town, no one wears shoes because we're right by the beach, like no joke, man. I don't know nowadays in Byron because I don't live there anymore, but I'm not exaggerating. Growing up, like it was weird. Like no one wore shoes ever. Like, of course, if people were working a job, they wore shoes, but 9 out of 10 people walking the streets of Byron had no footwear. Super, super common. Okay. Point I'm making is some people don't make that correlation. They maybe even you just park your car and walk from your car into the gym barefoot. Like, no, man, it's then no different to walking on the mats with shoes on.
Yeah.
So that's not
you
quite
need to arrive at the gym wearing some form of footwear.
That's right. Yep. And that's actually also goes for competition, right? Like if you're competing, definitely have foot. Don't walk around the whole gymnasium barefoot, right?
Have done
flip-flops, or some people, depending on the individual, some people like to actually put their shoes back on between fights. Yeah. Either one is fine.
I have my flip-flops
carrying
around.
Have your footwear, and then when
my first comp, I forgot them.
Yeah,
so I was walking around.
Should have got DQ, bro.
Yeah, I was walking around without footwear the whole time through the stands and everything. Like it was looking back, it was pretty bad. But
and then you would have had black feet.
Yeah,
all the crap.
I would have got crap all over the mats.
So once you get pulled from the bullpen up to your mat, then you take your footwear off.
Yeah, exactly. When you're a mat side, then you can take your footwear off, and sometimes I even keep them on unless I'm trying to do a specific warm up technique that requires no shoes or whatever.
Yeah,
but 100%.
Yeah, so I mean, not quite an unspoken rule, but that
needs to be said.
That needs to be said. Connected to that, I can't believe I have to say this rule because sometimes people need to be, well, not sometimes. In my experience, a lot of people need to be told this. I've met blue belts who need to be told this. And my next segue is into hygiene. You have to wash your gi after every class, right?
Yeah.
It boggles my mind that some people need to be told that. Like I've never met higher than a blue belt who isn't aware of this, but I remember in Brazil meeting one blue belt in particular. I was like, dude, your gi is rank. Not only does it smell bad, right? Like the amount of bacteria, and that's how you get ringworm and staph. And dude, every class, you got to wash it after every class. It's not just your sweat, it's other people's sweat. And I'm going to, look, this might lose us some followers, Kieren, but I'm going to say it. Wash your fucking belt.
Yeah.
Right? People
100%.
who tell, what's wrong with you? You're not going to lose your knowledge washing your belt. You've got to wash your belt, man. People 100%. Who say not to wash your belt because it's tradition or whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
Some traditions
Bacteria does not care about your traditions.
Yeah, it's just gross.
This is not this is not a cast iron skillet pan that is, bacteria is killed.
You mean like a wok or something? How they don't wash those or something?
Not a wok. Cast iron,
I know cast iron, but like I'm saying, like also,
maybe they don't wash woks either. I don't know. You have to season cast iron skillets.
You got to do the same with woks, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, like it's different because certain temperatures are reached, bacteria is killed, blah, blah, blah. So don't make some argument saying, but I don't wash this, blah, 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 blah.
Wash your belt.
Wash your belt.
Don't be a grub.
To be honest, I'll say this. I don't wash my belt after every single class because do you wash your belt after every single class?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll rock up and it's like still not completely dry.
Yeah. I wash my belt firstly, I have multiple belts because it's not like, God, will I even live to get a coral belt? I don't know. But I'm going to have black belt for many, many years. So I could invest in multiple. Well, I didn't invest in multiple belts. I got given one. I bought one. I got given another one. I got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I can easily cycle through them. But, I usually wash my belt at the end of the week. Like I've done my last class for the week. I chuck it in with my gi. Okay. Wash your belt, people. And you got to wash your gi after every class. I'll also say that just a little tidbit of advice, try wash it as soon as you can. I know this is not an unspoken rule, but man, shit festers.
Yeah.
Like, when no matter how many times you wash your rash guard, it doesn't lose that stank.
Yeah.
It's one of 2 reasons. Either A, it's just super old and, it's gone past its lifespan. Throw it out, move on, buy a new one. They don't last forever. That's cool. Or B, like you left it too long before you washed it and that stank is like permanent now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you let it marinate for too long, bro.
I use so obviously I use detergent, like the washing powder stuff when I'm putting my gi in the wash, but I also use, not every time, but regularly throughout the week, like a specific liquid that is designed to kill extra bacteria and like clean like real dirty clothes. Yeah. So I put that in as well, and that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you just do a regular, even if it's 60°C wash of your gi, sometimes it's just not quite enough. You need some extra fucking oomph to kill all that,
If you're sitting here going, but it won't dry in time, buy another gi, you bum.
Yeah, which leads me to the point I wanted to bring up. In your opinion, for someone that trains regularly, and I'm not talking about the 2 to 3 times a week people. I know a lot of people out there listening to this are 2 to 3 times a week. If you're that, you can get away with 2 gis. But if you're training regularly, I think the optimum number that I've thought in my mind is 4. No more than 4.
I mean, you can have more. I've got lots.
Yeah, I mean, you could, but then you're probably not going to wear them, and then you
don't. Yeah. I have too many gis.
Exactly.
I have so many gis, more than I need.
Yeah, minimalist lifestyle. But
4 gis good.
I'm
because
thinking 4.
Let's say, for example, at the moment, the last few days in Sydney have been, warm, but it's been raining and humid.
Both my gis are in the wash right now. I got to hang them out.
So
they're actually sitting there right now. Yeah.
So and most people don't put their gis in a dryer because it shrinks them and breaks down the fabric.
I can testify to this. The one gi, I only have 2, but the one that I've used in the dryer.
You only have 2 gis still.
I only have 2. I'm still waiting
on those GG gis.
Yeah.
We've got new real cool GG gis coming for anyone who's a gaming fan.
Yeah. The Vantage.
Cool.
Vantage is the brand.
GG gis. Waiting for some of them.
When are they going to arrive?
There has been a problem with the file format with the manufacturer. It's getting delayed a little bit. But anyway.
That's all good. So I'm waiting for those. I think I have 2 coming, maybe 1.
I don't know, bro.
Whatever. Yeah, so one of my gears that I had put in the dryer, it's the
Ripped.
only gear that's ripped. And it ripped within like the first 6 months of owning it. So it's pretty, and the collar's all messed up on it. Like it looks like shit. It's not my good gear. I don't compete in it anymore, even though it's lighter than my black one. I compete in my black gear normally. I just have the white as a spare. And it's ripped again as well. So I need to get patched again. Anyway,
Learned that mistake.
Get 4 gears. Obviously, they're expensive. So build it up over time. Start with 2, minimum 2, and build up from there. One's not enough.
Last thing I'll say on hygiene, because I think for me, hygiene is very it's obvious and goes without saying, but and some people need to be told it. You got to cut your nails too.
Oh, man.
Getting scratched by someone with long nails sucks.
It's happened to me a couple of times where I've been rolling with someone, have been scratched, and then like took note of their long ass fucking nails. And because I'm like, I didn't want to like call them out. I haven't said anything, but man, there's been a few occasions where I kind of want to pull that person aside and be like, man, you need to cut your nails.
Just tell them straight up, bro.
Yeah, I think I should.
You're like, bro,
yeah,
your nails are way too long.
Yeah.
Look what you did to my face.
Yeah. It was like the back of my neck, and they like,
it sucks, bro.
It's bullshit. Like, cut your nails. You have to cut them short, not so short that they bleed or whatever. But like, I think you should be cutting your nails at least once a week, just to keep them like short. Yeah, even just a quick trim, really important. Don't forget your toenails as well. No one wants to see that.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, hygiene done.
Yeah.
Move on.
And wash your ass. While you're at it, fucking wash your ass. Sick of your stanky asses out there. Fucking
and wear some fucking underpants. You actually have to. It's in the rules. You have to wear underpants.
Yeah, this is shout out to Dan. Put some underpants on, man. Or, okay, here's another one.
Or Aaron, get some underpants that don't have holes in them, bro. If it's just the elastic band that was once underwear.
He's wearing a jock shirt like a fucking G
count, bro.
So here's one for you. What do you think about guys that wear spats and no shorts?
No good.
Yeah, no good. Agreed.
No good.
Yeah, particularly if you're not wearing underwear underneath those spats. I think there should be
real bad.
There should be a 2-layer rule. There needs to be 2 layers in between your balls and my face.
Yeah, but then even then, underwear with spats is still not enough. I want a 3rd layer if that's the case, because those spats are tight.
Yeah, right? 100%. You see dudes at the gym that just wear them for just squatting. Man, they're meant to be underneath your shorts. They are not meant to be instead of.
I need a layer of baggy material between your nuts and my face.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe a 4th layer.
I don't want it to look like I've plastic wrapped my leftover sausage and mash. You know? I don't want that in my face,
man. With old soggy gravy.
Yeah, especially when I'm caught in your triangle or something. Dude, I don't want it.
Oh, man. It's so funny when you have someone like, if you're on top and you go to like north-south and they've like turned onto their side, and then like your package is like right on top of their head. You just like fucking, just planted it.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, in no gear can be pretty personal.
All right, hygiene and penises, moving on. So while we're talking about like kind of arriving at the gym, I guess, this one is definitely no one tells you until you make this mistake and you get, well, it depends on the gym, but older traditional gym or whatever will rip you a new one. If you're late to class, you best not dare like step on the mats until like the instructor sees you and allows you to come in. All these unspoken sort of rules, I'm very lax with them. Right? I can be tough when I want to be, particularly if it's competition training and things like that. But as a whole, the atmosphere in our gym is a much more like less sort of traditional. You got to do this and that, and it's a bit more like open and welcome and friendly, and
new school, we'll say.
Yeah, let's call it that.
New generation jiu-jitsu.
A lot of gyms, man, if you're late, if you just like try to not even sneak into class, but if you try to join the class late without first getting the approval from the instructor to join the class, bro, they will rip you a new one. It happened to me once, and I felt it was real unfair, but it happened to me once in Brazil where I knew this rule and I didn't try to join the class, but the mat at the gym in Sao Paulo is so big that the instructor, and it wasn't Fabio teaching this class, it was this other guy called Alex, who at the time was Fabio's right-hand man. And he couldn't see me. like I was standing there waiting for ages, and like the longer I was waiting, the
later
later I was.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like, you know, hesitantly like stepped onto the mat to kind of be like, hey, Alex, like, you know, I'm here. Is it okay? Like, because he hadn't seen me, and the second he saw me like with a foot on the mat, bro, he was like, man, you're late. You don't fucking walk in. Blah blah blah. Rip me a new one, and you know, I couldn't even try to justify why I was stepping onto the mat, even though I was just trying to be like, get his attention.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it sucks being in on the receiving end in that situation where the person that's feeding it to you, they're not giving you an opportunity to explain. And even if you did, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
That's really tough. Yeah. That's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like,
he asked for it. He told me to punch him.
Yeah. One time, like, I'll never forget this. I was, when I was in the Navy, I was a junior officer and I got fucking destroyed by someone 2 ranks higher than me, like who was my boss at the time, just fucking took me out on what's called the bridge wing, like the side of the bridge of a ship when no one was. And that's like the tradition, like, you know, the junior officers getting railed on the bridge wing. Like he took me out of the bridge wing and just fed me for like, the monologue went for over a minute, probably a minute and a half. And right at the end, he's like, he was boning me in for doing something, right? And he's like, who told you could do that? What made you think that you could do this? And I was like, you told me to do it. So like, I just had to cop it, like, and just cop it for 2 minutes straight. And then I'm like, you told me to do it on this date, like this time. And then he's just like, yeah, you're right. Sorry. But like,
yeah, I thought you were about to say something like, you know, mention the name of someone who's his boss.
Yeah,
you know?
No. I was like, you literally told me, you gave me permission to do this. And then he's like, oh, yeah, you're right. You didn't even apologize. He was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And then just walked off. I'm like, you fucking piece of shit.
So good. All right. Next unspoken rule. Again, last time I'll say it, every gym's going to be different. Okay. So this could go into, if you're wondering if you're someone who's going to go traveling and visit a gym, right? Better safe than sorry. Assume they follow the unspoken rules. So one that is an unspoken rule in our gym is that when you arrive to class, like you greet everyone as you walk. Actually, sorry, let me go back one.
It's actually written on the...
It is written on the wall, yeah. Some gyms or instructors have a bow before you step on and off the mats. I don't enforce that. I've only ever bowed in jiu-jitsu like once, and it was out of awkwardness because someone bowed to me and I was like,
yeah.
Right? I don't bow. Fabio has never told me to bow. No one bow. Like there were people in Brazil who would bow going on and off the mats, but they probably came from another gym where it was never a thing.
At Gracie's, obviously, they do it and they bow to the photo of Gracie on the wall or whatever.
So it was never a thing in my gym in Brazil. It's not a thing in our gym here. If someone wants to do it, you know, when they bow before they step on and off the mats, like you're free to bow. I'm not going to be like, bruh, we don't bow.
What you bowing for, bruh? Who you bowing to, son?
You drop a biscuit, get the fuck out of here. So if you want to bow, like, okay, you could. For me, okay, as a black belt, if I'm visiting a gym, I'm not going to bow. Like if then the owner of the gym tells me, oh, we bow before you go on and off the mat, I'll do it. Their gym, their rules. Okay. But by default.
So you make a statement. You're like, you see everyone else bow and you're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Probably. I'm not going to. I mean, it's.
You ain't bowing. You ain't bowing to no one.
Yeah. You ain't bowing to no one, bro.
Yeah. You want to roll me, bro? You fucking make me bow?
Did you ever watch Mr. Bean?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you remember there's an episode where he's meeting the Queen and he bows and he headbutts her?
Yeah. Fuck, that's a throwback.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. I mean, look, if the owner of a gym that I'm in told me to bow, I would bow, of course. You know, it's their gym, their rules. I'm going to respect that.
Is this weird? I bow onto the mat when I'm competing because everyone else does it.
I've never bowed going onto the mat in competition.
I want to stop doing that because I
feel free if you want.
But I've just realized.
Have I done it in comp? Like that.
Yeah. The whole like, slap your legs and stuff. And I only did it on my first comp because, like I've said on the podcast a million times, when I did a trial at a Gracie Barra gym like in 2016, and you know that's where I learned like all of this unspoken stuff, like bowing and shit like that because you're told to. And then I saw other people doing it because at their gyms they bow on and off the mats, and so I just did it to fucking fit in, fit in or fuck off sort of thing. I just did it to not stand out, but I don't know if I'm going to do it anymore.
I don't know
if
I
make a statement. I want to be like my own man.
Yeah, so if you see your opponent bow, you're like, got him. What a loser.
Yeah, this guy's bowing.
Heaps of people do it. Like heaps of
Everyone does it. Yeah.
World champion guys do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever done it in now you're kind of gaslighting me unintentionally. I'm questioning whether I bow because competition's got that like elevated status.
Signs of respect. And yeah.
I don't think I do. But
yeah,
anyway.
I've done it every time.
If you want to bow, bow. If you're told to bow, probably bow. But I don't bow.
Every time our purple belt, Aaron, because he's ours.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yep. Every time Aaron teaches a class, after the class, when he's lining everyone up and he's like, oh, thanks to class, blah, 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 gives his little like, good job speech and everything. He bows to everyone. And then I was like, oh, fuck. And like, I bow back and I'm like, wait, what am I doing?
I fucked it up, fell over.
I broke my leg. Yeah.
Oh, you caught me off guard, Aaron. Oh, my leg.
He like does the whole does the bow. And then everyone else is like, oh, fuck, we're going to bow. That's so weird.
Oh, that's funny.
I was actually at a gym in Sweden where they get everyone to line up and everyone like bows to everyone, and every time you go to handshake, you like
bow.
You after the class, you know how when you line up and you high five everyone or whatever, they don't do that. They like do a mini bow and like do an elbow to elbow shake or something. Like it's
I've been to some gyms where you line up and you essentially you like do a bow and a handshake and a hug with every single person. I'm like, bro,
man, there's like 20 people here.
I strategically line up my students. So we just go down the line and just like high five, right? And this is again because it's how we did it in Brazil, and there would sometimes be like 50 people in a class, bro. And I strategically line people up so I can go high five, and by the time I finish, I'm at the door and I can just walk straight out.
Thongs on, walk out, get in the
car before someone asks me a fucking stupid question.
Nah, you're fucking at home. You're like, where's Adam? Yeah, man.
Well, okay.
The bowing thing is funny. It's funny.
If you want to bow, I don't care.
It's funny for us because we like, you come from a gym and you create a gym where we don't do it. So we look at like these traditions of like these traditional martial art and we kind of think it's funny, but to them it's like part of the tradition. So we're not poking fun at your gym. I think we're poking fun at like the juxtaposition, if you will, the contrast.
Just the other day, yesterday it might have even been, in the middle of class, someone rocked up to the gym who worked for the utility company. He was checking the gas meter and blah, blah, blah. And he had to get to somewhere that was across the mats, right? And so he like took his shoes off and then he bowed and like walked like across the mats.
Yeah, right.
And not out of nowhere, like we had already, I already knew he was working on the premises. So it wasn't like he just walked in, And as he's walking across, like, he goes, he's like, I train too. I'm a blue belt at Gracie Barra.
Oh, there you go.
Of course, I was like, in my mind, I was like, of course you are.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yeah, cool, awesome, bro. Blah,
so
blah, blah, blah.
He's a blue belt at Gracie Barra. So it's kind of like a white belt.
Hey man, maybe Gracie Barra people are listening. Calm down.
Yeah, we got heaps of Gracie Barra people listening.
No, they're cool.
We love you guys.
They're cool.
They're
cool. I mean, I think on previous episodes I've spoken about
the rivalry.
But even just like teams
friendly.
And what it means, and I don't have any time for that politic crap.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, going back, unspoken rule at our gym that, again, if someone doesn't do it, it's not like I pull them up on it. But you greet everyone as you walk into class. When people are usually sitting around on the mats waiting for class to start, when you rock up, you go around and you greet everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
What I will add to that, and this definitely isn't enforced in our gym, nor do I care, but some gyms, it's like, okay, but you greet those people in order of their seniority. Like so for example, and I still do this if I were to go back to Brazil and visit, like even though I would walk past those 20 dudes and go to Fabio first and greet him. And then I would just do it whichever, like I would go around in the circle. I'm not going to constantly zigzag across the mat and okay, who's the next? Oh, 4-stripe purple belt, like.
We have this, again, I'm sorry for so many Navy analogies, but there's so many like traditions that like cross over. We have the same thing in the Navy is when you come into the officers' mess, you have to, and if you're not wearing uniform, you have to go to the most senior person and excuse your dress. Like, and that's a legit thing. Right. And like you need to like look around and walk past anyone, like obviously the most senior person in uniform. It's a bit, please excuse my rig is what you need to say. And they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's like
because they don't care.
No one gives a fuck. Like,
it's just the formality
whatever.
of it.
Yeah, whatever. So
for
it's the same sort
for me
of
at our gym, it's like, well, just do whatever's logical. Whoever's the person first, like greet everyone as you go around. But
I try to make an effort to greet whoever the instructor is, like if it's yourself or Aaron first. But I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way, I suppose. Like if I walk in and there's like someone standing there in like the little lobby getting changed as well.
And they go to say hi to you and you're like, whoa.
Like,
I haven't said hi to Adam yet.
No, you just put your hand up like, no.
Don't you dare fucking high five
not
me,
looking
bro.
at you. Like headbutt him instead, like get nervous, like, puss.
Fuck, I thought we were bowing, bro. Yeah. Shit. So yeah, that's definitely a well-known unspoken rule. You greet everyone as you walk on the mats.
Yeah.
So
I do have another rule that I think
I have lots more rules. I mean, but fuck, we're already 30 minutes in. There's been lots of laughs, too much caffeine.
Yeah.
I'm sweating over here.
We need to fucking get serious, man. None of this banter.
No one came here to listen to your jokes, Kieren.
Exactly. No one cares about the Navy. No one cares about the banter. Just get on with the facts, bro.
No one even cares about the jiu-jitsu.
No one cares about the podcast. So here's a rule that I only discovered after I don't even know. I think it was YouTube comments, something. You guys know I get my information from pretty uncredible sources. So at some gyms, apparently it's a rule that you have to wear a rash guard underneath your gi.
That is a lot of gyms, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a hygiene thing or something.
I think that's what they try to claim it as.
Yeah.
Really, I think it's just a scam to sell more rash guards.
But because like
which leads me to my next point.
You aren't allowed to wear, in a lot of competitions, you are not allowed to wear a rash guard underneath your gi. And if you
Unless girls are allowed to.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And like if you are allowed to wear the rash guard underneath your gi, it literally specifies in the fucking rule set. It's like this is exempt. Like it's the other way around to what you would think.
Yeah,
like you're not allowed to wear it. So I like your approach of like training how you fight. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's just a scam to sell more rash guards.
Yeah.
Scam we'll be implementing from Monday, but
yes.
No. Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say kind of not necessarily an unspoken rule. You'll be told straight away whether that's the gym policy.
So if you are visiting another gym, bring one with you just in case, even if it's
chances are though, if it's a gym that has that rule, they probably also have the rule that you can only train in their gis.
A lot of the time, yeah.
So then you're probably just either going to train there or be forced to buy it or rent one or whatever. I mean, no one's going to rent a rash guard. That's gross. But
yeah, man, if I went to a gym, right, and they were like, yeah, you can't wear your gi, you have to rent one of ours. I don't know how I'd take that. I would be a little bit taken aback by that. I think it was a bit weird. If I was just visiting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how common that is, but I wouldn't
common,
like that.
You'll find if you're a big famous name / gym, you can get away with whatever you want.
I suppose, yeah.
You know, like if you visited Atos, right, in San Diego, the headquarters, that's their policy.
You have to
you
hire
would probably, or buy one or whatever, and it can only be a white gi. You'd probably suck it up and train, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. You would suck it up. Like I'm not saying I wouldn't.
But if it was just some random gym in Sweden while you were there on holidays, you'd be a bit like, this sucks.
Yeah, because I did go to a random gym and they were totally cool. They're very welcoming. Let me do whatever the fuck I wanted. But yeah, if they were like, nah, bro, you got to wear like our gi. You got to buy one. I'd be like, well, catch you later, cunts.
It's very
See you fuckers. Not having a bar of it, man. But
all right, another unspoken rule. Let's move this puppy along. Is the whole, rank of jiu-jitsu, and that there's a dumbass unspoken rule that is you're not allowed to ask a higher belt to roll.
I've never adhered to that.
It's because we don't enforce it at all in the gym, right? I think it's, like if you're a white belt, that means you've just got to sit there and get the scraps. Like what you're like, it's like the hierarchy of pride of lions. You're like the last person to eat and you get to eat, the anus. It's a lot of the wildebeest that no one else wanted. So I think it's stupid. But connected to that rule is the hierarchy. And this is something you'll probably notice, that even though I don't enforce it, there's enough people in the gym that have trained elsewhere. So it's kind of like this whole collective amount of people, right, that have been exposed to these unspoken rules that allows them to continue. So even though what I'm about to mention, I've never once enforced, right, unless you get a gym where from day one, you never allow anyone to come into the gym who's trained elsewhere, okay, then there's going to be no outside influences. But this is a rule I don't even want to say we have, but people follow despite it never being mentioned once and me never enforcing it, is even though anyone can ask anyone to roll, I have white belts ask me to roll, which actually, to be honest, I find a bit annoying, but no, I'm joking. Something depends on the white belt, really. But is that, let's say you and Ollie are rolling. So you're a blue belt and he's a purple belt. Maybe you didn't ask him to, or however it came about, you two are rolling. So there's Ollie's your senior, but then if I was, and you've already got your partner, the roll hasn't started, but the round's about to start. And then I say, Kieren, let's go.
Yep.
You would turn to Ollie and say, oh, sorry, bro.
Yep.
Like
100%.
Because like I pull rank over Ollie.
100%.
Or even if it was not Ollie, like, okay, Joey's a black belt now, but even when Joey was a brown belt, if Joey was like, Kieren, let's go, you would be like, sorry, Ollie, Joey pulls rank.
100%.
Even though I've never once mentioned that or enforced it, and Ollie would be cool with it because he's trained elsewhere. There's enough people collectively.
I think it's brown belt and up. I'm just going to say that. I think it's like black belt. In our gym, I feel like definitely.
Well, you're a blue belt now, but like.
If I was rolling with like Toby, right? Blue belt.
Yeah.
And Ollie, purple belt, asked me to roll. I'm like, sorry, bro, I'm with Toby.
Would you?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If it was like a white belt, I don't know. It depends if I wanted to roll or not. You know what I mean?
You're similar to you need like 2 layers of fabric between your jump.
I need 2 belt.
You need
between. Yeah, 100%. So I think in my mind, I apply this rule adamantly when it comes to yourself and Joey, our 2 black belts.
And JT, you're like, fuck you, bro. I don't want to roll.
He doesn't
with you.
train in our gym. He's a visitor. No, 100%. I would apply the same with JT as well, or a visiting black belt. So yeah, I definitely adhere, and brown belt as well. I adhere to that. And it's the same, which you're probably going to mention this next, but I want to jump in before you can. Is there is an unspoken rule with rank order in who gives way on the mat.
Yeah, that was my next segue.
Yeah.
If you notice, I've segued this fucking episode beautifully.
Mate,
if you notice, every single unspoken rule is like connected to the next.
Yeah. Normally you're really shit at segueing, but this has been good. So I'll allow
segues and analogies, bro. I'll
give you analogies, but segues. Anyway.
If you want a great analogy, you can listen to the last episode, 2 episodes ago, episode 64. Kieren makes a great space shuttle rocket analogy.
Shut up. Anyway.
It's like, when you're like a rocket, and I'm like, shut up, Kieren. Leave the analogies to me. I make analogies. You make nutrition advice.
Yeah, I'm the black belt. You give way to my analogies. Yeah. So that was a good segue. When we're on the mats, now this gets a little bit sticky when it's similar sort of rank or whatever. But if I'm on the mat, this is going to sound arrogant because I did it as well when I was a white belt. If there's 2 white belts rolling and there's 2 blue belts rolling, the white belts give way to the blue belts. Mm-hmm. If there's 2 blue belts rolling and a purple belt and a white belt is rolling, you give way to whoever is the most senior rank in that role. The whole role assumes the rank.
Yeah, that's right.
That's Navy analogy coming. We have the same thing in the Navy. If you are walking with a senior officer,
there's a senior officer and a junior officer. Whichever one's getting down on the other one, you make room.
Yeah.
Right? you get in line.
When it comes to saluting in the Navy, if you're walking with a senior officer, like you're walking with them somewhere, like, you're actually walking with them, you assume their rank in terms of saluting. So if say, for example, if you're with a 3-ring commander and you're a lieutenant, you're 2 rings, and you walk past another commander, you don't salute them because you assume the commander's rank as a lieutenant.
You're like, I'm with this guy.
Yeah. Even sailors, when they walk with an officer, they assume the officer's rank. So it's the same in a role, right? And this is like an unspoken rule. The role assumes the rank of whoever the most senior person is, and the rank order takes precedent. But not a
rule that you adhered to very well last night.
Mate, we just kept getting in your way.
Who were you rolling with at the time?
We were
Toby?
moving. I was with Alex. We were moving for you, but it was like every time I would...
2 blue belts and right next to you, 2 black belts. You kicked JT in the head twice.
But every time we did, we then moved.
Not far enough.
Clearly. It's a pack mat. I'm not even going to apologize to that. It's JT. Who cares? Come at me, bro. No, you'd smash me.
I hope if he sees this, you in
he
trouble.
Won't see it. It's nearly 40 minutes in. He doesn't listen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's definitely an unspoken rule.
Yeah.
That again, none of these unspoken rules I ever enforce. So a lot of gyms will.
Some of the belts, though, like I've heard Ollie be like, "Get the fuck it." Like, he didn't swear, but like say, "Move," like to white belts or whatever. Like 2 white belts going at it hard, don't care. Like move.
Yeah,
you know, you were in the way of the senior belt.
Yeah, that's well, like I said before, if you've got these unspoken rules continue even when they're not enforced because you have, an amalgamation of people who have trained all over the place, right? Where they've learned these rules. I've never enforced ever any of these unspoken rules, right? But they exist.
They almost enforce themselves.
Yeah. So I don't 100% follow that rule. I definitely do if I were like feeling that I'm a student again in someone else's gym or back in my gym in Brazil. But I definitely apply a bit more of a common sense rule. Oh man, it's hard to say. I guess the reason it's unspoken is it's kind of a bit, well, it's, I'm going to decide in the moment. For example, usually I try to apply a common sense logic. So I could be rolling with a black belt, but let's say we're in a bit of a static position, like not much is currently happening. Maybe we've settled into side control and not a lot is happening. And then right next to me, there's 2 white belts, but they're in a fully extended arm bar. And it's like, I'm going to move out of their way. Like they're in a much more important point of their match, right? But in saying that, that exact same scenario could play out, but maybe that side control that I've settled into, like me and that black belt are having a freaking war and I'm in that like competition mentality.
Yeah.
I'm like, get the hell out of the way, white belts. Like, this is my space.
Yeah.
So I like to lean towards the former where I just try to take the information and go, well, who's in a harder position to replicate? Like who's in a more make or break position? Those people, all right, the other people get out of the way, right? But sometimes in the moment, you're just having a heated roll that you could be chilling in close guard with nothing happening, but I'm going to be telling those other people to move. So it's definitely an unspoken rule that exists in every gym.
I get frustrated when, like, if I'm rolling with Toby, a blue belt, and we're going to war, and like maybe I'm on the receiving end, or I just got in an advantage position, or whatever, and like I'm going at it, and then like two white belts that are sort of just chilling, get in the way. That just in the back of my mind, motherfuckers, like, fuck. Like I know I've
swept in, but you would
go. I mean, it doesn't matter what rank they are. Like I suppose, notwithstanding, like black belts, but if someone gets in the way when you are in that heated position as it is, it's the nature of being in the gym, but there is frustration as it stands.
Don't you reckon that, like, let's say if that same situation you have in a heat, like Toby's one of your best training partners at the moment, where one day he'll get the upper hand on you, the next day you'll get the upper hand on him. You guys have super good wars. You're both competitive, same weight, different body type, but you're different style, like just such a valuable training partner for you to have at the moment. Every role's a battle, right? Let's take that same situation. Let's say you're about to sweep Toby or you're about to take Toby down, right? And as you take him down, you kind of bump into this pair of low life white belts and you're going to be like, fucking white belts getting in my way. That exact same scenario. And then you're like, fucking white belts, and you realize one of those white belts is partnered with like me or Joey, you'd automatically have that, what have I done? Like, I remember having that in Brazil, like this war, and then like, oh, these people, I realized one of them's Fabio. Oh shit, sorry, Fabio. Oh, my bad, sorry.
Man, there's been a couple of times where I've just done it anyway, like just gone for it anyway.
Last night. You kicked JT in the head twice.
With the exact same like attempt to take down. I had to give up the position. I was furious. I was like, fucking hell, guys.
I said, I wrote JT a formal complaint.
That was,
I am beside myself.
For context, that was submission only. And I'd been battling with Alex, another blue belt, for like nearly 20 minutes at this point. And man, I was committing. I was not, because like in my mind.
Who ended up winning that one?
I did, yeah. I didn't get subbed last night.
Didn't you?
No. Oh, of course. I didn't go
so
with
you were
anyone.
in the whole time?
Yeah. I didn't go with anyone higher than a blue belt, but still. Like,
oh man, still we did 50 minutes of submission.
And I was with Alex, Anthony, both blue belts, and Terrence, blue belt.
Only those 3 people you cycled through?
And a couple of white belts.
Yeah, right.
The girls, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, they're like 30 kilos lighter than you.
Yeah, it wasn't.
And white belts.
It wasn't really fair. So I just moved until I was like recovered and then stopped. That's so cruel, but it's true. Like I moved around, let them move, let them work, didn't like use my weight heavy on them. Yeah. And then, when I was ready to move on, I stopped them. Yeah. Anyway.
So that's a really common unspoken rule. This episode has like the time's ticked away and I've mentioned like three rules.
Might have to do a part 2.
Might have to. So let me just, I've got a whole list here. I just want to
rapid fire for 10 minutes.
Oh, but I don't think it does it just. You're going to miss the banter, bro.
All right. What's next?
So, well, I might just finish it with one, and so we're keeping the nice sort of segue. I mean, I've done it so beautifully, segueing from like arriving in the gym and stepping on the mats and giving priority to people rolling and whatever. So let me just kind of, to some extent, bring it full circle and finish it with it is super rude and disrespectful to not thank your training partner post-roll. No matter how bad the roll went.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure if you've trained long enough and you're competitive enough, you for sure would have done this where you have a bad roll with your partner, the timer ends and like you just like you fuck off and go get a drink or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you always high five knuckles, right? You always
thank them.
Thank your partner, like greet your partner, whatever label you want to put on it at the start of the roll and at the end of the roll.
Yeah.
Right. It is bad form. Like it's a bit different if you're doing like Shark Tanks or something where it's,
Okay. That was the time where I fucked off and didn't.
Right.
Was during that sort of scenario.
Yeah. It can be a little different when you're like to the point where sometimes we will do specific like types of specific training where I go out of my way to say, don't high five knuckles.
Just go
right. Just like once the timer beeps, new partner, straight away. Right. So unless it's a sort of scenario like that, right, it is very bad form and bad manners and sort of this would actually maybe now that I think about it, this might be a rule that I would call people up on because out of everything we've said today, the rules that I would definitely call people up on. Well, one is hygiene. I'll 100% like enforce that rule. The other unspoken rules like greeting people and giving way to higher belts, that's just organically goes into place. And I'm not that fussed about it, nor do I enforce it or whatever.
Quote, break that rule. It's not the end of the day. Maybe someone eventually will say it to you. Exactly. Maybe you'll just learn it.
But if you break the rule of hygiene by coming in a rank gi, like I'm instantly going to pull you up on it. Right. This might be another one where maybe if it happened once, I'll be like, oh, whatever. Or, if it is that once in a blue moon where the person got the shits with the bad roll, I'm going to let it slide. But, it is bad form. It's bad manners. I don't care how shit the roll was, right? How competitive you are with that person, how much they smashed you. Okay. You suck it up and thank them for being your training partner. You don't have 100%. To say thank you. Just give them the high five knuckles.
Yeah.
Right. Unless they're a prick and they like eye gouged you or something, and punch them in the face.
Yeah, and then you
don't punch them in the face because jiu-jitsu is way more effective. Right?
Yeah,
grappling.
100%.
Punch hurt your little knuckles. Don't do it. Right? But that's an unspoken rule that is super bad form, not to be high five knuckles at the start of your roll and the end of your roll.
Like I said, I've only done it. Again, it was like a Shark Tank specific sort of scenario, but still, it sticks in my mind. I was doing really well. And I got caught by a white belt in like a guillotine. And I was like, I just got promoted that time. So I just got arrogant, got caught in a guillotine and I refused to tap.
So it wasn't that long ago then?
No. This was like at the end of last year or something like that.
Who was it?
Brendan. He called me in like a standing guillotine and I didn't want to tap. I was like, no way, this guy's never going to sub me. Like never. Right.
He's just a white belt.
Yeah, it was the first time he subbed me and then I had to tap and I just stormed off. I was so mad. Like that's the maddest I've gotten after like it wasn't even a roll. It was like specific training.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have gotten that mad, but yeah, that's something that sticks in my mind how like frustrated I was.
And I mean, now that I think about it, Brendan hasn't been back since.
Yeah. I wonder why.
There's actually a way on it.
Wonder how his legs are.
He's a way earning the right to put an elbow on the table.
Well, no.
No, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. Be under sail. Like you have to be under wind power.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. He's on like a shoot.
Yeah, a motorboat.
A motorboat.
This is terrible. I will. I did have one more.
You shoot. I'm going to leave my unspoken rules there because we're already almost an hour in, and I've packaged it so beautifully. Kieren.
Beautifully. I just have one more that I want to bring up because it still happens so often with me, like with training partners all the time, and I've spoken about it in way early days in the podcast, early episode when I learned this lesson, and I think that I want your opinion on it. I'll just tell when I learned the lesson is when I was rolling with Joey when he was a brown belt.
I knew it was going to be with Joey.
Yeah, I was rolling with Joey, and I had that like mentality that you talk about all the time. And you even mentioned to someone last night where like lower belts have this tendency to go light with upper belts because they don't want to
mess this.
They don't want to mess up the status quo. They don't want to like seem as though they're being insulting.
Yeah.
They don't want to like. And sometimes they don't want to go hard because they don't want to get smashed.
That's true. That happens. Yeah,
that happens. But anyway, I was in that sort of scenario with Joey, and he went for like a submission, and I tapped before it was even applied. Well, before it was applied. And the reason that it's so fresh in my mind is because a white belt did that to me yesterday, exact same position. And my reaction wasn't as like forceful as Joey's, but it was the same at the start. It just wasn't like the follow up, like disappointed dad speech after it. So basically the whole concept is don't tap when you're not in a submission, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Like, okay, if you're in pain, if you're uncomfortable, if you need to get out of the position because whatever, yeah, okay, tap.
Yeah, if you've got an injury or something.
Exactly. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you are with a high belt or whoever it is and they don't have the submission yet, but you tap just for nothing.
You can't just tap because it sucks.
Yeah, or tap to reset or or tap because you're like, oh yeah, I think they're going to sub me. And that's what this white belt did to me last night. He thought, because I hadn't applied the submission and he didn't realize that yet. Like, well, he did, but he didn't think I would know that. Yeah. I hadn't applied it. It was the same submission that Joey did to me as well. It was like like a Kimura, Americana or moving to a Kimura from like top control, right? Exact same scenario. It was super like, it was really weird for me because I was in Joey's position then. And I said to him like, oh, why'd you tap? Like, what got you there? And then he was like, oh, you were going for the subs. Like, was it hurting? Like,
I didn't have it.
Yeah, and I was like trying to be like, I was trying to say to him like, don't do that, but I didn't say that, and I was like, I didn't have it yet.
It's actually a good unspoken rule / bit of advice for new people because when someone's brand new to jiu-jitsu, like I'll tell them, man, if in doubt, if anything doesn't feel right, whatever, you can tap. Your 100%. Partner will stop.
Yeah,
but then you don't want that then to become like, oh, I can just tap when shit gets hard or when I see it in kids class a lot because I really enforce for kids
you have
to tap whenever because I need you to stay safe and have fun. So then they'll just get their guard pass and be like, tap. But you can't tap there, bro.
Yeah. That's really frustrating. And
I would on a more sort of for a more advanced student to some extent more advanced, I would say that, you can't tap to pressure.
Yeah.
Like, if you're tapping, it's because something's about to break or you're about to pass out.
Yeah.
Ignoring
or you're protecting an injury. Yeah, exactly.
Ignoring
all that.
Some of the
but don't tap early just because like this person is going to sub you. Yeah. But if they haven't got it yet, like you're being detrimental to their training.
That's right. 100%.
So you need to respect your partner in that sense. So it's very frustrating. And I give it the benefit of the doubt when they are like super new and I haven't seen them before or whatever. But if it's like our second, third, fourth roll, like I ask them, are you all right? Like why'd you tap there? Like I call him out on it a little bit, and we have another guy that I've only ever seen him train no gi and he's been doing the same, a white belt, and he taps like to nothing. Like you shoot a sub and he will tap and you're like, come on.
You get up and you're like, you fucking suck.
Headbutting.
Get out of my gym.
Yeah. But like, again, protect yourself at all times, but at the same time, respect your partner. Don't insult them in that sense.
All right, so let's leave it there. We'll try sort of, let me try rattle them off. We had, can't even remember the first one. No shoes on the mat and bare feet, no bare feet.
Yep.
Walking on the mats, if you want to bow or not bow, whatever, different in every gym.
Yeah.
Greet your fellow training partners. A lot of gyms, the rule is in order, or at least the instructor first.
Yeah.
There's an unspoken rule of not being allowed to ask a higher belt to roll. And if you're already partnered up and a higher belt from that pair calls you, they pull rank. Mm-hmm. Same goes for if you're bumping into people when you're rolling, you give way to whichever pair has the higher rank, and always thanking your partner for training. You don't have to say thank you, but high five knuckles at the start and end of the roll. And then, briefly your rule of don't tap to nothing.
Yeah, don't tap to nothing. Don't be that dude.
Don't be that dude. No one likes that dude.
I have so many more, like, as you're around.
Except Kevin. Kevin's cool.
Yeah.
He does that. Kevin.
Yeah.
Kevin's got no more shoulder.
Yep.
Do you know who Kevin is? You know I'm talking about Kevin?
Do I know Kevin?
You do, but Kevin's not around anymore. Remember Kevin?
Yeah, I remember Kevin.
Kevin lost his pec muscle. Kevin.
Yeah. Okay.
He ripped it off.
Anyway,
Kevin should have tapped.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, we'll leave it there. Love you, Kevin.
I do. I actually messaged him the other day and he ghosted me. Maybe he's back home. Kevin's he's English. No, I don't know. I messaged him to see how he's going.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, this is nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Personal information.
Kevin was rolling with Kieren and just got caught in a armbar, Kimura. And I don't know, it was put on sweet, but it just unfortunately tore his shoulder and pec muscle. And I messaged him to see how he's doing, but I didn't hear back. Yeah. He is English, so I don't know if he's gone home or whatever. Anyway, if you're listening, Kevin,
love you, man.
Fucking message me back, bro. Stop ghosting me.
Anyway, leave it there. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Beyond Jiu-Jitsu podcast. This was episode number 66, all about unspoken rules. If you have some more unspoken rules that you want us to know about, you can
tell us some unspoken rules in your gym.
Yeah, you can tell us by speaking them in audio format.
Audio format.
I said audio format.
Audio format.
If you want to submit a question to the show, you can do so by audio format. Find the link in our link tree. I say this at the end of every podcast so far. So long time listeners are like, yeah, boys, come on.
They've already
stopped listening.
They're like, if the intro shit, imagine the outro.
It's even worse. But you can find that on our link tree. It's the first link in the link tree. Click the link. You have to submit an audio question. Get it in. We'll play it on the show. Episode number 70 is coming up very, very quickly.
That's where we take audio questions?
Audio questions.
That's amazing.
Every 10 episodes, we do a Q&A on the 10th episode, and next episode is 70, and we probably already recorded it, but submit your questions anyway.
You'll get the next one.
Until next time.
Just tape it.